if you are feeling like you're not at your end goal yet, if you're feeling like you're not at that end destination yet, unfortunately, you may always feel this disconnect from other people around you because they're just never going to get it. And you are going to save yourself a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of effort when you let go of worrying about being different from other people.
Let's link up with Krista on the FYX. She's a wellness coach with a focus on mental well-being and physical strength.
What's up, FYX listeners? Welcome back to our latest episode of the FYX podcast. I'm your host, Krista Huber, and this is an episode that has been living rent-free in my head for the last 2 weeks. And every time I walk around New York City recently, it just keeps coming up for me. I'm sitting down right now to record this, just getting home from the gym. I chose to walk home from the gym just so I could get extra steps today because that's how my brain works. And between people watching and comments that I've gotten from clients recently about how they feel relative to other people, here's what I need you to know. And remember, so that you feel like the lifestyle you're trying to lead does come with more ease and less friction for you. It's sadly not normal to be the person who consistently goes to the gym, who consistently gives a shit about getting 10,000 steps a day, who cares about increasing their protein goal, who pays attention to the number of meals that you have out over the course of the week. And for that reason, you are going to often feel like you're the person doing things differently. This really started to come to the forefront of my mind because we had a client who, since she started working with us, has gone on vacation. It was her first time going on vacation. And in signing up to be a part of the Fitness Fix at the beginning of this year, that was a goal that we were working towards. And as she was getting closer to the trip, she had different stressors come up and different things going on, but she's starting to feel more like herself, more like how she wants to physically feel on a daily basis. Although her physique changes, she has set higher standards for herself, and that's okay. She recognizes that it's part of the process. But what really stood out to me was the fact that when she got home from this trip and completed her check-in and just updated Coach Alyssa and I on how she was really feeling post-trip, one of the biggest reflections that she had was this: the fact that I could look around and look at people by the pool and look at people by the beach and say to myself, like, okay, yeah, I'm still not where I want to be, but I look a hell of a lot better than the average person. That is not to be said with judgment. That is not to be said from a place of like cockiness or I'm better than you. It is literally a fact. And again, for me, in the last 10 months, as I'm traveling more, living in a city that just naturally has more people around. Ironically, I didn't pay attention to this as much last summer, even though I was living at the beach. But I think just being around more people on a daily basis, like the minute I step outside of my apartment, and also loving people watching, I just keep getting reminded by this fact that the average person just simply does not physically look the way that you want to do. And we sit here as people who have high standards for ourselves and as people who are constantly trying to like push the bar higher, whether it is with your physique, whether it is with a lift in the gym, whether it is with something that you're trying to accomplish in your career. And you're sitting there feeling like, oh, this is not enough. I need to keep doing more. When the reality is that for other people, the bar is like on the floor. And as I'm saying this right now, I was organizing my notes for this episode, I felt like I was trying to actually censor myself a little bit because I was like, is this going to come across as being better than everyone else? And the reality is no, because all of this is true. And I so hope and so wish that this podcast, the work we do inside of the Fitness Fix community, the way working with our clients then influences their children, then hopefully influences you going out to dinner and talking to your girlfriends and discussing how you're tracking your food now for the first time, or the different ways that you're understanding which food fits which macro, does actually have a trickle down effect on helping people be healthier. Because that's a big driver of what it is that I hope to accomplish beyond the hundreds of people that we've worked with inside of the Fitness Fix. Is what does that do for the next generation? What does that do for the people that they spend time with and they get to hang around with? And I find this to be something that maybe during the summer is even more polarizing, because it's also the time of year when you are outside more and you're more social and people are asking you to come to events and do different things. You find yourself being the oddball out in this situation. The friend who is drinking less, the friend who maybe says no to certain foods at certain times, and then feels this ridiculous obligation to have to explain yourself. Like, why can't we just keep it as simple as saying, I am choosing to eat this food right now because it makes me feel good, or I'm choosing to not eat this food right now because that also makes me feel good too. It's just really crazy that we have to justify these actions, because from my seat, from the world that I live in, from the way that I grew up, it's the standard to actually prioritize taking care of your health. But I also think it's an important reminder that if you are feeling like you're not at your end goal yet, if you're feeling like you're not at that end destination yet, unfortunately, you may always feel this disconnect from other people around you because they're just never going to get it. And you are going to save yourself a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of effort when you let go of worrying about being different from other people. And that's the overall message to this. If you're out here and you're saying to yourself, I really want to feel more confident every time I get dressed in the morning. I want to be able to go shopping and put on the first outfit that I try on and actually like how it looks. I want to not judge whatever pant size it is that I'm getting into. Know that you are signing up for a life that is still going to feel uncomfortable, because the world that we live in was simply not designed for fat loss. But where this adds another layer of complexity is what we consume on social media. Because hopefully, as you're hearing me say this, maybe you'll go people watch a little bit today and you'll notice this too. But if you're a healthy person, or you're prioritizing your health, that's a value of yours, chances are a lot of the content that you consume is realistically of fitter, healthier people. And that is a net positive. Why? Because it's going to make it your normal. It's going to make it feel easier. But there's the lack of reality that comes with social media, and where your bar could keep getting higher and higher, because then you're looking at somebody who doesn't have your schedule, trains in a very different way than you. They have a completely different lifestyle than you. And as a result, their physique is something that, if we actually knew all of the details of what was going on behind the scenes of their day to day, that might not be something realistic for you to match up to. So the big question is, where do we find the in-between for this? And I don't believe in balance, because I think you have to go through seasons of being super locked in and seasons of, yes, loosening up the reins. But I don't think that's balance. I think that's like a gas pedal that you're actually stepping on. So ultimately, this looks like having to just turn your blinders on and recognize that the plan you are going to stick to for the rest of your life, it will have principles that look similar to other people, but it's never going to be exactly the same as everyone else around you. And when you're around people who really just don't concern themselves with this, it's going to be that much more polarizing, and it's going to make you feel that much more uncomfortable. But that's where the blinders have to come in for you to tell yourself, okay, objectively speaking, this person does not want the same outcomes as me. That's not for you to judge them. It's just for you to remove that judgment that you're putting back on yourself because you feel like you're over here having to do this differently and that differently. And like I said, it's a mind fuck. It's something that we have to really like police for ourselves, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself in this spiral of feeling like you're not yet where you want to be, feeling like it's not enough, of feeling like things seemingly look easier for other people, really just because you don't have the full context. But I want you to remember that if you do those things that I mentioned at the beginning of this consistently, like going to the gym, like having a strength training program that you actually follow, like caring enough to hit a step goal or even track it in the first place, that makes you a lot different than other people. I mean, I opened up my fitness pal yesterday and I didn't track my food all of last week because I was traveling, but I still prioritized certain choices because I have enough knowledge to be able to do that. And when I went to start tracking again this past week, I was on like by day 4, I got some like notification that I was on a 4-day streak. And that said that put me in the top 35% of users on my fitness pal. And when I read that, I just kind of laughed to myself because it's like, that just goes to show you how many people have downloaded my fitness pal under some illusion that they think they're going to use it consistently, but they're not actually showing up and doing so. It's like 1 or 2 days on and then 2 or 3 days off. And then you wonder why you can't get to where you want to go. There's your answer right there. But it also just reaffirms everything I'm observing here about the fact that this just isn't a priority for a lot of people. And I don't think we need to look down on those people. I don't think we need to send it in the opposite direction of obsessing over being extremely, lean and shredded. But if you truly want to look and feel different, I think we need to normalize the fact that that is going to feel uncomfortable. And lastly, we can have influence over this based on who we choose to associate ourselves with. That's the best part about the Fitness Fix, is because to me, when we get on client calls and our whole community comes together and we talk about different things, there's just this unspoken vibe and relatability factor of like, yeah, we are going to choose to make these choices because we are all here a part of this group. And that is making this normal for all of us. And that is going to help us feel that sense of support, that sense of certainty, that sense of, hey, there is actually a plan for me to move forward on this. This isn't like me being the oddball out. Even if I do feel like the oddball out in certain social situations, I have this group to come back to be able to talk about it and to be able to discuss and remind you why you have the perspective that you do, why you even got on this path for yourself in the first place to be able to live for a long time and a good time. Because without that, I'm truly convinced this will always feel like an uphill battle for the people who just can't seem to figure out a way to get results. So really, this is just about the observation that this will feel hard until you control your environment by controlling who you're paying attention to, who you're listening to, how you're internalizing comments that people make, things that people say, and know that having that support at your fingertips is so valuable in being able to shape you into the person who fully has assigned identity around your health, around your wellness, around being able to move your body, around feeling good and looking good. However, that is defined by you. And I hope that as we continue to see the growth of the health and wellness industry, I really hope, like, it actually blows my mind to think about this too. This is $1 billion industry and more people aren't actually getting healthier. That's why it's so important for you to use the right discernment and use the right judgment around what kind of information you want to consume, who you want to take that information from. But again, just choosing to take some sort of action on it and then do that consistently. We live in a world where the access to information that we have, I think, leads to a lot of people thinking, oh, if I'm consuming this content, it's going to help me change. No, you have to take the action and know that because not as many people are taking the action, that until you get a part of a community where that is just the basics, like that's just the standard of what you should be doing, it's always going to feel a little bit like there's some friction going on. It's always going to feel like you're kind of climbing uphill. So you want simplicity when it comes to fat loss. Yes, you need the protocols. You need to understand the nutritional value of your food. Yes, you need the right training program to follow, but you also need the people who are going to help you see that, yeah, this is the way that a lot of us want to live to feel good, even if it makes you look different than somebody else. Also, let this be a reminder to celebrate that progress along the way, because it is that much more difficult to get to where you want to go. Because if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right? That's the cliche. That is, I guess, has never been truer. I'm cheering for you. If you're even taking just the smallest step towards taking care of yourself, if it's even just as simple as setting that small, seemingly small goal that you don't think is enough, know that it's more than most people can say for themselves. And starting to get those choices to just layer one on top of the other is what's going to get you to change your identity, to become the person who makes these health actions your non-negotiable. And if you need help doing that, you know that we are always a message away. We want to support you through every season so that you get off that yo-yo of that stupid dieting hamster wheel. It really is stupid, because it doesn't have to be this way. When you design something and when you take the type of protocols that we take inside of the Fitness Fix, where it's you thinking about this in the context of your exact schedule for the months of August and September, and then reevaluating that by October through December and continuing on that cycle, you are reverse engineering a plan for yourself to be able to continue along this path for the rest of your life. So with that, from wherever you're listening from, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys next week.